Daniel stood before Nebuchadnezzar to save his life and the life of others. But this act was actually shadowing Jesus' own intercession for our life. Pay attention. In Daniel chapter 2, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, has this dream. Now, when he dreamed this dream, he woke up and he was troubled. Not only was he troubled, but he couldn't remember the dream. And in fact, he says here, the thing, which is the dream, is gone from me. And so the king commanded all the magicians and the astrologers and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans of his day to make known to him the dream. But they couldn't. So he commands the magicians and the astrologers and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans and all the wise men in Babylon to be killed. But Daniel, who was a Hebrew captive in Babylon, was one of the wise men. And so he had to die too. But when they came to take Daniel, Daniel answered with counsel and wisdom. And Daniel went in to the king and desired that the king would give him time to know the dream and the interpretation. After the king says yes, Daniel goes into his house and talks to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. These are the same 3 Hebrew boys that get thrown into the fire by Nebuchadnezzar a couple chapters later. But remember, they survived. And they sought the Lord to desire mercies from the God of heaven concerning this secret. And what was the secret? It was the dream and the interpretation. Now let's remember why they were doing this. They were doing this so they could stay alive and the rest of the wise men of Babylon could stay alive. Then was the secret revealed unto Daniel in a night vision, and he blessed the God of heaven. Now there's a couple different things I can speak to using this, but this gives us insight into the person of Christ. Nebuchadnezzar has this dream, and then he asks his magicians, his astrologers, his wise men to tell him the dream and the interpretation. Giving the interpretation is one thing, but asking someone to tell you their dream and then interpret it is something only God can do. And because these men can't do it, Nebuchadnezzar gets angry and declares the judgment of death. It's kind of like the law. Scripture says that the law produces the wrath of God to those that cannot keep it. And who can keep it? No one. In the same way, who can tell you your dream and the interpretation? No one. So now the king is angry. But Daniel, in his wisdom and counsel, approaches the king who's already angry, risking his life, come on, and desires time for the people. Time to do something that only God can do. And the king is merciful. In the same way, Christ approached the Father and desired mercies on our behalf. But not only mercy, but time. Time to do something that only God can do. Die for the sins of the world. But here's the difference between man and Christ. Although Daniel was wise, he only heard the threat of death. But Jesus heard the threat of death and took on the wrath of God because that was the only way. Pictures of Christ are all throughout Scripture. You just have to open your heart to see it.